Okay. Okay. It is 10:02 on October 21st, 2025. This is the Kelly Development Corp. Public hearing through the Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency. I'm going to read the public hearing into the notice. Public hearing notice into the record. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing pursuant to Article 18A of the New York State General Municipal Law will be held by the Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency, the agency, on the 21st day of October 2025 at 10 a.m. local time at the agency's offices located at the Town of Brookhaven Town Hall, second floor, 1 Independence Hill, Farmingville, New York, 11738, in connection with the following matters. Kelly Development Corp., a New York business corporation on behalf of itself and or the principals of Kelly Development Corp. and or an entity formed or to be formed on behalf of any of the foregoing, including but not limited to C&K at Cordwood Estates LLC, the company, has applied to the agency to enter into a transaction in which the agency will assist in A, the acquisition of an approximately 5.5 acre parcel of land located at Old Town Road and Terryville Road, Port Jefferson Station, New York, more particularly described as Suffolk County Tax Map number 200-311-2-1 and 2-001, the land. B, the construction, equipping, and furnishing of approximately 45 new senior residential rental units across multiple buildings totaling approximately 57,000 square feet of rental area with 1, approximately 10% of such units, 4 units, to be reserved as affordable housing for residents whose incomes are at or below 80% of the median income according to household size for the Nassau-Suffolk primary metropolitan statistical area as defined by the federal Department of Housing and Human, I'm just saying words that aren't there. Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development, AMI, and 2, approximately 10% of such units, 4 units, to be reserved as workforce housing for residents whose incomes are at or below 120% of AMI, together with the acquisition, installation, and equipping of improvement structures and other related facilities attached to the land, the improvements, and C, the acquisition and installation therein of certain equipment and personal property, including but not limited to shared common areas and other amenities and the furnishing thereof, furniture, appliances, structures, clubhouse, pool, equipment, and personal property in the units, the equipment, and together with the land and the improvements of the facility, which facility is to be subleased by the agency to the company to be known as Cordwood Estates at Port Jefferson Station and used by the company to provide senior housing for all residents of Port Jefferson Station and Long Island, the project. The facility will be initially owned, operated, and or managed by the company. The agency will acquire a leasehold interest in the land and improvements and title to the equipment and will lease and sublease the facility to the company. The agency contemplates that it will provide financial assistance to the company in the form of exemptions from mortgage recording taxes in connection with the financing or any subsequent refinancing of the facility, exemptions from sales and use taxes in connection with the construction and equipping of the facility, and exemption of real property taxes. A representative of the agency will, at the above stated time and place, hear and accept written comments from all persons with views in favor of or opposed to either the proposed financial assistance to the company or the location or nature of the facility. Prior to the hearing, all persons will have the opportunity to review on the agency's website, brookhavenida.org, the application for financial assistance filed by the company with the agency and an analysis of the costs and benefits of the proposed facility. This is dated October 11, 2025, Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency by Lisa Mulligan, Chief Executive Officer. I have some guests here in the office with me, and then I've received some letters for the record. I know, may I have the blue card? Lois, I know that you wanted to read your comment into the record, so if you would go ahead and read your comment.
Okay, I'm Lois Fricky. I live in Port Jeff Station since 1962. I am a resident here and very involved in the community. I'd like to voice my strong support for this 45-unit PRC over 55 project, the IDA application and the pilot as proposed in the application documents. Without this being done, they're denying people over 55 to have some affordable housing here. And I think it's really very, very important, especially in that location.
Thank you so much. Can I have your?
Sure.
So that's the only blue card that I've received, someone who wanted to speak, but I do have some comments that I received previously. I'm going to read them into the record. Dear Ms. Mulligan, I am a resident of the town of Brookhaven and am aware of the above referenced project and application to be heard by the IDA on October 21st, 2025. Along with being a resident, I am also vice president with Maggio Environmental Services and president of Long Island Builders Institute. I'm voicing my strong support for this 45-unit PRC over 55 project, the IDA application and the pilot as proposed in the application documents. We need to keep working on our housing due to the lack of housing that we presently have on Long Island, beside construction being extremely important to Maggio's and the 747 Long Island Builders Institute membership. Thank you for your time and attention. Very truly yours, Anthony Confredo. I also received this letter. Dear Chief Executive Officer Lisa Mulligan, as a resident and public official who cares deeply about responsible growth, fiscal accountability, and fairness to taxpayers, I am writing to express my opposition to the granting of Industrial Development Agency IDA benefits for the proposed Cordwood Estates project in Port Jefferson Station. Cordwood Estates is a multifamily residential development. As proposed, developers are seeking IDA assistance in the form of exemptions from mortgage reporting taxes connected to the financing or refinancing of the project property, exemptions from sales and use taxes related to the construction and equipment purchases, and most significantly, an exemption from real property taxes that would phase out over the course of 17 years. In other words, for nearly 2 decades, the developers would be excused from paying the full share of property taxes that every homeowner and business in our community must contribute. According to the IDA, the justification for granting these substantial public benefits is that the project will positively impact the health, community, environment, and economy of the residents of the town of Brookhaven. While I understand the intent behind this statement, I disagree that this particular development meets the spirit or purpose of IDA incentives. Industrial development agencies were created to encourage economic growth and job creation. They were designed as a tool to help attract new business, retain existing employers, and stimulate investment that would not otherwise occur without public support. The underlying principle is that these benefits are justified when they generate a broader public return, such as permanent, well-paying jobs or significant infrastructure improvements that serve the community as a whole. The property tax exemption sought by this developer will shift the burden onto our homeowners, small business owners, and other taxpayers who will be left to make up the difference. The schools, fire district, libraries, and other essential services in our community depend on the property tax revenue to function. When a private development is exempted from paying its share, the cost does not disappear, it's redistributed. This raises a fundamental question of fairness. Should working families and small businesses be subsidizing a private, predominantly market rate residential development? Should the taxes of our residents be used to offset the construction costs and profit margins of private developers? I believe most people would say no. To be clear, I am not opposed to the construction of Cordwood Estates itself. Our community needs housing of all types, and responsible development can play a positive role in revitalizing underutilized sites and meeting the needs of residents. My objection is not to the project's existence, but to the notion that it cannot stand on its own without taxpayer assistance. If a residential project is financially viable, it should proceed on its own merits, without special treatment or subsidies that distort the marketplace. The IDA's justification that the project will positively impact the health, community, environment, and economy of Brookhaven is at best a stretch. While any development may bring some level of activity to a neighborhood, that alone does not equate to a measurable economic or environmental benefit. The project's ability to generate temporary construction jobs or to provide housing for future residents should not make it eligible for an economic development subsidy. By that logic, virtually every private investment could claim to serve the public interest and rendering the IDA's mission meaningless. The IDA should reserve its limited resources and incentives for projects that deliver tangible public returns, sustainable jobs, technological innovations, environmental remediation, or redevelopment of contaminated or blighted properties. These are the types of investments that truly, quote, positively impact the community and justify the use of public support. With this in mind, I respectfully urge the Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency to deny the application for IDA benefits for Cordwood Estates. Let the project proceed, but let it do so on its own financial strength without taxpayer subsidy. At a time when taxpayers are already stretched thin, we must be vigilant about how and why we extend public benefits. Every dollar of tax relief granted to a public developer is a dollar that must be made up elsewhere. The IDA has an obligation to use its authority carefully and consistently with its mission. Denying this unnecessary subsidy would demonstrate a commitment to the values of fairness, integrity, and sound fiscal stewardship that every resident of Brookhaven deserves from their government. Sincerely, Jonathan Corbright, Council District 1. I also have, just see. I have 7 letters that are very similar in their nature, so I'm just going to give the general overview of them. They are all from residents of Port Jeff Station who are writing to voice their strong support for this project, the IDA application, and the pilot as proposed. And they are from Stephen Griffin, Dolores Petruzzo, Dennis O'Connor, Robert Bask, Brian Stevens, Jonathan McCarthy, and Gabriella Lorfis. I also, but you read yours in, so I have it already.
Okay.
I also have a letter. Good afternoon. This is from Joan Nickerson. Good afternoon. How can I make the following part of the IDA official record? Okay, so this is what she wrote. I oppose the proposal by Cordwood Estates for tax breaks or relief through IDA. According to your mission statement, you operate to promote and assist the growth of business that will increase employment opportunities, increase the commercial tax base, ... Testimonial from beneficiaries are seen on your homepage website. Gratitude for the tax exemptions provided through our taxes via IDA is expressed in succinct revolving paragraphs. One is from John Corrado, CEO of Suffolk Transportation, regarding the construction of a new facility to better serve riders. Suffolk Transportation's website claimed to employ over 3,000 individuals. Another is a testimonial for the construction of Brightview Senior Living Facility in Port Jefferson Station, which on any given day has 50 and 60 staffers on its 11776 site, including RNs, chefs, administrative assistants, and sales. In stark opposition is the proposal before you from the private developer of Cordwood Estates, Mr. Kelly, who presented to our community associations plans that create next to nil full or part-time permanent employees. It does destroy acres of quiet woods on our Brookhaven Town Historic District, Terryville Road. I oppose this application to IDA and any attempt at tax relief. I also have a letter from Ryan Kubels, writing in to express support for the Cordwood Estate residential development proposed for Port Jefferson Station. Project represents a thorough and responsible approach to growth on Long Island by creating high-quality, energy-efficient rental housing near. I have a very similar letter also from Larry David, so I'm going to do them at once together, but there's 2 of them. Energy-efficient rental housing near existing infrastructure, major roadways, and job centers. Cordwood Estates will help address the serious shortage of attainable housing that affects workers, families, and seniors across our region. Beyond the clear housing benefit, this project will generate meaningful economic activity for our community. It will also create local construction jobs, support suppliers and contractors, and bring new residents who will shop at nearby stores, dine in local restaurants, and contribute to the local tax base. The property, which is currently underutilized, will become a productive tax-generating asset that benefits the entire town of Brookhaven. The limited and time-phased IDA assistance being requested is an important factor in making this project feasible amid rising construction and financing costs. These tools are not giveaways. They are investments in projects that return long-term value to the community. Cordwood Estates will provide both immediate and lasting public benefit consistent with the IDA's mission to foster economic development and community vitality. For these reasons, I respectfully urge the Brookhaven IDA to approve Cordwood Estates' application and allow this much-needed project to proceed. It represents smart growth, economic opportunity, and a genuine investment in the future of Brookhaven. Thank you for your time and consideration. It is 10:17. I'm going to leave this open for a few more minutes just to see if anybody else joins us and see if I receive any other comments. It is 10:24 a.m. on October 21st, 2025. This is the Town of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency public hearing for the Kelly Development Corporation project. I have not received any additional comments, and there's no additional participation. In as much, I am closing this public hearing.